What if you could turn your passion for helping others into a career that changes lives, starting with your own? Join Empower's certified professional Empower Coach Academy, accredited by the ICF and powered by Oregon State University. Our next cohort begins February 28th. Visit yesempower.com to reserve your spot today.
Welcome to Rewired. Neuroscience meets real life change. This is your space for unlocking intentional growth in yourself and in the people you lead, coach, and inspire. I'm Tiffany Grimes with Empower Coaching and Training, and I'm so happy to be here with you. All right. Kassy Lopez, welcome to Rewired. I am so grateful to have you here. I was thinking just today, I went on a walk and was like, I was trying to think about our history and when we met. And I think you were in cohort 1, right? You were in the pilot program. Kassy and I met through agencies that we both work with, and we were in the process of dreaming up this idea of having an Empower Coach Training Academy. And we ran a cohort of just people who were willing to take it as a pilot and give us feedback. And Kassy was part of that. So we're moving into cohort 5 now and our third year. And so we've been working with Kassy for a while. I want to hear just a little bit about, you left CPEC, you got certified, you have a coaching business now. Tell us a little bit just about what you're doing in the world of coaching and ADHD.
I have a business. It's called Embrace Your ADHD Brain, where I get to chat with other people who have ADHD, but they don't necessarily have to be diagnosed with ADHD. It could just be people who are, struggling with some of their executive functioning skills and just needing a little bit of support around that. I do focus more on women and non-binary individuals, mostly because, female bodies were not given the same support or diagnosis growing up. And so now we're finding a lot more women being diagnosed later in life with ADHD. So they're coming and they're like, what is this? What's going on? Yeah. Oh, that's why I do those things.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Chatting through some of those experiences.
That's so true. I think with so many diagnosis, right? It's really the medical world in general is really geared towards this male body. And, I think this is true in the world of menopause right now. They're realizing things like heart disease, right? In women, when it shows up later, it actually isn't just the heart disease. It's actually very much connected to menopause, but we never studied menopause. So we're treating it in a way that we would for men, but it's not working on women. And so that's not a big surprise. You have been diagnosed with ADHD. I'm curious, what was your story coming into that? Tell me more about your own journey to this.
Yeah, my journey of ADHD started back when I was 16. So I was diagnosed way long ago, back when they weren't really diagnosing women, and it was an experience. It wasn't a lot of support. It was just kind of like, you have ADHD, take some meds, and now, deal with it.
Yeah.
And so over the years, throughout college, throughout my 20s and 30s, I was almost like gaslighting myself around ADHD. Like, I knew I had it, but I didn't really understand what it was and how it was interacting in my body and with my behaviors.
Yeah.
So there was a point, actually, it was because my stepdaughter, I wanted to be more focused with her. I wanted to have better regulation with my moods, just everything. And I was like, I think I really need to just sit down and figure out this ADHD.
Yeah.
And I got on some meds, and now we're here. So I was like, this can't be just me. Other people need more support around it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. My child has ADHD, and we're learning our way into that. And I think it's the same thing. We got the diagnosis and then the meds, and I was like, well, that kind of helps. But, there are many hours of the day that he is not on the meds,
Yeah.
and so what are the tools and how can we
Yeah.
even understand it? I mean, honestly, I get more information from TikTok of
Yeah.
like, oh, this behavior that is happening needs to be addressed in a different way rather than just discipline because it's actually
Mm-hmm.
ADHD, right? This is not
Mm-hmm.
something that's, anyway, it's just been so helpful to even understand what are the behaviors and what's happening in his brain and not just here's the medicine, but what
Yeah.
is this thing? So let's dive in. That would be, I think, a good place to dive in. So, from a neuroscience perspective, what's actually happening in the ADHD brain and how does that influence daily life?
Well, right now, let me tell you about what's happening in my brain. I am flooded with excitement and I have so many things I want to talk about and directions to go that I'm kind of getting stuck on where to talk about it. And
Yeah.
that's part of the ADHD. So ADHD, right, is a neurodevelopment part of, what's going on in our brain. And it's not that our brain is, bad or wrong or broken or anything like that. It's just wired differently.
Right.
And even to the fact that we the ADHD brain kind of develops not at the same pace as a neurotypical brain. So executive functioning is coming on not necessarily later in life, just not in the same speed as a neurotypical brain.
Oh, that's interesting.
So they say when I was 12, my executive functioning could have been like more at the 9. So my behavior, my actions and reactions to things might have been coming off more around the 9-year-old behavior than the
Mhm.
12-year-old that my body
Mhm.
was. And it had nothing to do with intelligence, had nothing to do with any of that. It was
Right.
just that, you know, not fully connected all the way at that point with the executive functioning.
When you say development in that world is delayed, does it catch up? At 30, is it like 27? Is it always delayed or does it catch up at some point? Does puberty have anything to do with
Oh,
this?
puberty hormones have so much to do with ADHD, menopause. Like you could be good, for so long. Like I'm taking my meds, I'm learning all my skills, and then menopause hits or premenopause, and like all of a sudden, the earthquake is shaking everything up, and you kind of have to
Wow.
reevaluate and redo,
Yeah,
where you're
everything.
at today. Yeah.
Yeah. God, just another layer of that. Yeah.
Mm.
Would you say it influences children differently than it, like daily life and daily living? It influences their life differently than it would an adult? Would it show up differently?
I mean, I think so just because, right? Like we have different responsibilities. I have different lived experiences. And in a typical, daily life in a neurotypical brain, the executive functioning isn't even coming on until 25 to 30, depending on,
Right.
trauma, gender, lived experiences.
Yeah.
But, executive functioning for somebody with ADHD is not necessarily the lacking. It just needs a little bit more support in different ways. Dr. Russell Barkley, he talks about giving people different tools, right? Supporting in
Yeah.
every kind of way. So other people can help redo your environment to support your ADHD. If you're
Yeah.
constantly losing your keys and finding it underneath your pillow or in the freezer, have a spot in your living room where you always put your keys.
Yeah.
Like this
Yeah.
is my key spot.
Yeah.
So different
Learn the
things that support
tools.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm curious how, as an ADHD coach, how you help clients identify and leverage that superpower.
Yeah. With ADHD, throughout our whole lived experiences, we don't do the things that are approved through that neurotypical world. And so we get told a lot of all the things that we're doing wrong or not appropriate or, whatever it is, just because our problem solving skills might look a little different.
Yeah.
And so that's how we need to work through the problem or life. And so it's not the same. So we're always told, sit on our hands, stop moving, just answer the question, where are you at right now? So what I'm saying is that we put a lot of negativity into our bodies, into our thought processes, and we're telling ourselves constantly all the things we're doing wrong, and we forget and lose all of those beautiful strengths that we have. And with
Yeah.
ADHD coaching, that is a huge part of what we do. We use the via character strengths to talk about what and remind ourselves what all of our character all of our strengths are, and bringing back, those great experiences of all the beautiful things that we do throughout the day and throughout our lives,
Yeah.
to rebuild all that.
It does touch me because I hear, as you said, those lists of like, stop moving, pay attention, where are you at? It's like, oh my God, I've said every single one of those things. And how it can take such a self-esteem, it's just a hit because he's at home hearing it, then he goes to school and he's hearing it, and he's on the soccer field and he's hearing it, right? And it can really begin to impact identity, like who we see ourselves as, and beliefs about ourselves. And yeah, I was doing some research before I got on here, and the statistic was saying that those folks who identify with ADHD, basically like who they could count, right? So on average make about $10,000 less than non-ADHD brains. And I think about it because of exactly what you're saying, right? Because we're saying, well, you're missing something versus you have something. You also have something I don't have. And so how do we really, leverage that and help people see their own strengths so that they can advocate for themselves in a world that is not?
Yeah. The way that we start coaching is, what are some of your wins from this week?
Yeah.
We don't think about it, even if it's, small. Like, I got out of bed today.
Yeah.
I brushed my teeth before I left the house.
Yeah. I found my keys.
I found my keys. I made it to this podcast.
Yeah. Absolutely. Oh, that's so great. Yeah. That's great for ADHD and just all humanity, right?
I mean, I guess kind of what you're talking about makes me think of the fact that it's not just ADHD, that we have three different, right? We have attention deficit, and then we have the hyperactivity piece, and then we have the inattentive piece.
Okay.
Which is why a lot of female bodies don't get diagnosed early on, because they're not presenting like that 8-year-old boy that we think of when we think of ADHD, climbing the walls. My brother actually got an award when he was, I think he was first grade or kindergarten, for climbing everything in sight. My brother has hyperactive ADHD. And I have inattentive, maybe even combined, which is inattentive and ADHD.
Okay.
But inattentive is that hyperactivity inside my brain, the constant going, that daydreaming, over here kind of thing.
Yeah, fascinating.
Being kind of lost in that. Yes.
Well, you could really see the importance of getting a diagnosis. I mean, as you describe that, it's like, is there even just one kind of medicine, right? If it's a physical versus mental, if it's inside versus outside, how important it is to really understand your own experience with it.
Yeah, and the medicine too. I mean, there's so if you've met one person with ADHD, you've met one person with ADHD.
Yeah.
And meds are going to be different for everybody, because we all have different, chemistry in our own bodies. So Ritalin might work for somebody else. A stimulant might work for one person, and a non-stimulant might work for somebody else.
Yeah.
Just depending on, and then when menopause hits, right? Then that's a whole nother story.
Yeah. Never mind.
I think I'm getting excited and forgetting to answer your full questions.
That's okay. I feel like we're going in great directions.
Okay, good. With ADHD, it's a huge awareness piece. And there isn't a pill that we could just take and everything is better. I mean, obviously there's lots of medication to support with ADHD, but it doesn't get rid of ADHD.
Right.
And that's the same thing with tools. I can't just pick up a book and be like, this is the tool. it's a really daily practice of awareness and compassion for ourselves too, of recognizing that our brains just work differently, and I have to find a way to work with my brain.
Yeah, that it's not broken. I think that's an important piece that you mentioned, like we've just got to get rid of that stigma. It's not
Yeah.
that we're broken, it's we're wired differently. And you mentioned earlier, started talking about executive functioning a little bit. How do we transition into the executive functioning portion of our brains?
We'll be back after a quick break.
Ready to make a real difference? Become a certified professional coach with Empower Coaching and Training. Our next CPEC cohort, accredited by the International Coaching Federation and offered in partnership with Oregon State University, starts February 28th. Spots are limited. Learn more at yesempower.com.
Yeah. Well, what is executive functioning? I like to think about it as our prefrontal cortex, the front part of our brain, right? For touching my eyebrows, I'm touching closely to my prefrontal cortex. And that's what I refer to as Dr. PFC. She is the professor of my brain. And she, for me, holding the executive functioning skills, which is the logical, rational decision-making part of my brain that sometimes is fully there and sometimes needs a little bit extra support to get going.
Yeah.
And inside the executive functioning, which we all have, are planning and prioritizing. I'm going to forget some, which is also my working memory. My emotion regulation, task initiation. Did I say planning and prioritizing already? Time management. It's all of these different things that we all do all day long.
Right.
And some of us have more strengths in some sections, and some of, we all have challenges in other sections. All of us. But with with ADHD, it's like if you're trying to suck the milkshake out of the straw, but the straw is, broken or something.
Right.
Not to say our brains are broken, but the straw is struggling to get all the juices up, right?
Yeah. It's full. It's clogged.
Slower. Yeah. So that's where we use the scaffolding to support the executive functioning, to strengthen certain parts of it. A lot of people struggle with time management, referring to time blindness.
Okay.
Right? There's the struggle to see time. Like, I knew I had this meeting today, but this is the only thing I could do today.
Ah.
And other parts of it people struggle with is as being late to events, like constantly late, which I like to say, like, if you're constantly late, if you're always 10, 15 minutes late, aren't you technically on time? It's consistent, right?
So, okay, my mom brain comes in. I have to ask this because this is the thing I say to my son, which is like, set an alarm.
Yeah.
My set an alarm.
World.
And so I guess so then I'm like, ooh, is that me making him mask, or is that a real is that part of the scaffolding? How do you manage that? How do you manage time blindness and keep a job, right?
Yeah.
And pay the mortgage? How do you do those things?
Well, that's the scaffolding. That's the part of finding something that is going to support and work with you. My life is like built off of timers. I have a garden and I have to water my garden. And if I turn on the water and I'll be like, I'll be back in 10 minutes, 2 days later, I'm like, oh, shoot, I forgot to turn off the water. Unless I set an alarm.
Okay.
And I can't turn off the alarm. This is for me. I cannot turn off the alarm until I've finished the task. So my alarm is going off and I have to finish it so I can hit the alarm. Because if I hit the alarm, right, it's all gone again.
It's done. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. I can see how executive functioning, Dr. PFC would have to be part of this plan, because what you're talking about is self-awareness, right? Like I know myself well enough and I know ADHD well enough that if I turn this off, it'll be a swimming pool out here
Yeah.
and no
Yeah.
longer a garden.
Yeah. And being
Yeah.
kind to ourselves.
Yeah. And being kind. Yes.
Yeah. But I think that that's a great tool to use, especially for younger people around timers. That's supporting that scaffolding and that conversation too of, we're going to set this timer to support us with our time management.
Yeah.
I think the masking would be more of like, we're doing this because you can't ever get here on time or whatever. Right.
Yeah.
Because then we start to sit in that shame and we go into that cycle of all of our rejections and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So, talk to me a little bit about motivation, because I know that can look a little bit different for ADHD brains. How do you help clients harness interest-based motivation? Because I know well, I shouldn't say I know. I think I know that interest plays a big part when it comes to ADHD and where the energy will go and what will get done, instead of relying on willpower alone.
Yeah. We talk about it as I don't have a deficit in attention. I have lots of attention. And sometimes I get hyper focused and too much attention in one area and less attention in other areas.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily a deficit in attention. It's more of a deficit in interest.
Mm-hmm.
And
God, I love that. I really love that. Yeah, that makes, yeah.
Because boredom is painful, like physically painful.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that I won't do something. It's that I can't. Like it's so boring to pay my bills.
Right.
That it just I have to find other supports to get it done. Auto pay is the best way to do it. It's just gonna happen.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm not gonna do it because that is like the most boring thing.
I am having a deficit of interest in this. And
yeah. It's so easy, for some people. It's, the little things like taking a shower. There's so many steps to take a shower. I have to take my clothes off. I have to get in the shower. Now I have to move my hands around and, shampoo it all. And then the whole process of getting out, like there's so many steps that could become overwhelming that we struggle to do it.
Yeah. Fascinating. So it just keeps bringing me back to the scaffolding. I mean, how important it is, important it is to feel, I even want to say like bold enough, right? To empower you. Because you have, I would assume, have to love yourself enough to build that scaffolding or be surrounded by people who love you and not in that shame, not in that deficit, but like, let's find what works. Let's find the tools.
Yeah. And I don't know, you said love yourself enough. And I don't know if for me, it's just finding something that's going to work. And I'm going to go to that negativity, but also recognizing that I've gone to that negativity and try to have a different conversation about it.
Yeah.
Because if I start going down that road of, I guess it's going back to willpower. It's not about willpower. It's about, am I able to really push am I able to do this or not? And that is physically painful for me to do some of these activities that are no interest. So it's not about willpower, because I could do tons of things that I am very interested in. But the things that I'm not, it's going to be very difficult. So I have to find different ways to do it.
Yeah.
And supports to do it.
So in that instance, like with a shower, what do you do? How do you motivate yourself to do that?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, at 40, just being in society is my motivator.
Yeah.
Well, people want to be around me. I want to be around people. So
Maybe it's that stepdaughter too, right? There's nothing like a child who's like, you
Yeah, you stink.
stink.
They're so good at that.
The honesty of children. Mom,
Um,
you stink. Ugh.
but there are little things that, I had to give myself. It's almost like cookie crumbs to do it. If I could take the shower, then I can watch my show. Or,
Okay.
as soon as I'm done with my shower, then I can eat my breakfast.
Yeah.
Little things like that. And,
Yeah.
Emery, my stepdaughter, she's about to be 7. Same thing. Like, she struggles to get into the shower, struggles to do those. So we have to find what's going to be encouraging to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What can we find for her that is intriguing and exciting enough for her to get through it?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
like in the shower, she has all these little fun hair things that she can wash her hair in or with.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think about how boring we get as adults, and I
Yeah.
remember when my kids were young and there were like colorful bubble baths and crayons that worked
Yeah.
only in the bath. Like, why? Well, these are great tools,
Yeah.
these are great tools if we have time. Okay, we are going to start to wrap this up. I want to
Okay.
highlight, and then I'm going to ask you our final question here, but I want to highlight you are going to come teach a class under the Empower umbrella, which I'm so excited about. It's called ADHD Unmasked. It's September 16th, and we'll put promo codes and links for anyone listening to this who's interested. Tell us why should we go to this? What's somebody going to get? Who is the intended audience? Tell us a little bit about this workshop.
I know that it's offered to ADHD people, but we all struggle with different pieces of our executive functioning. And I think it could be supportive to all. Plus, you got to know one person in your life who is ADHD. So how can you support them with their own scaffolding?
Yeah.
And find
Or
our
you
own
don't,
compassion.
because you don't ask, or you don't know. I think about all the folks we work with who are case managers and, career coaches or family coaches and like they don't know. They don't know who's going to be at their next appointment, right? Or what they're struggling with. And this might not be something that's asked in a session. I said that maybe blame me. I don't mean it blame me, but like, I bet we are all, not only do we know somebody and love somebody who has ADHD, but I bet we're working with people all
Yeah.
of the time. So being able to, as you were noting some of these things, I'm like, how many of the steps that a job seeker goes through, for example, if they're working with a state agency where they have to fill out these documents and they have to go to this workshop and complete this intake. That's way more boring than a shower, probably for most people, And so if people aren't following through, maybe we can consider like what else, how could we motivate people in a different way? And am I asking somebody to mask without even realizing it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And motivation too, it really has to come from the individual. They have to find what is going to excite them.
Yeah.
That is what we're talking about when we're talking about motivation.
Yeah.
For them, what is it that's going to help them move, into the shower, whatever it is that they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then for the presentation, we'll talk about myths. ADHD has a lot of myths. We talked about some of them today around it's not just for boys and men, and we don't grow out of ADHD.
Yeah.
So we'll be talking about myths. We'll talk about a little bit more of what ADHD is and how it affects female bodies. And then absolutely, what can we start doing to support our ADHD? And when I say our ADHD, right, again, we all have we express our ADHD in different ways. So finding something that's going to work best for you. And sometimes it takes a couple things to figure out what's going to work best.
Yeah.
If it is an app that helps you, cool. If it's, the timer that goes off every 20 minutes, then that's another great one.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll talk about other kind of thought processes that can support us all too.
Excellent. Okay. And then the other cool thing I just want to mention is that you are also coaching through the Empower umbrella. So if people wanted to work with you, they could also work directly with you, right? For coaching.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious on that. You mentioned you prefer to coach female-bodied folks with ADHD. Are you open to coaching everyone? Is this is this kind of the only slice that you coach? And then I'm also curious, do you coach, I'm not asking for me, although maybe I am. Do you coach parents who have children that have been diagnosed with ADHD?
Yeah, family, children, ADHD is a huge niche, and I have not stepped into that yet.
Okay.
I'm still working with female bodies in LGBTQ community.
Okay.
And of course, if anybody else would like to chat, absolutely. That's just kind of who I'm targeting right now to support, because they, in my opinion and my experience, have not always had that support.
Absolutely.
So I want to put them first.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. Okay, we're going to walk away from here with a few brain-friendly, easy-to-implement tools that you're going to give us. So what are those things?
The first one is finding what is some of your wins. What is something that you did today that you're very proud of? And then just looking at that in the bigger sense of what have I done my whole life that feels good to me?
Yeah.
Something that I do every day. And then so that's looking at our strengths. And the other one is starting to recognize when we are not looking at our strengths. If we can recognize that I am going down that negative path, I can start to curve that. So also start to recognize what is negative that you were thinking about.
Yeah. So tool number one is to celebrate successes, on purposefully every day, because there are many of them.
Yeah.
So making time to really honor that. And also, if I heard you say, kind of slip in there on the end, is also notice some of your passions, notice where your interest does flow and see where that kind of takes you. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay. And then the second one is notice when you are spiraling into that negativity. Maybe it's that self-shame. It's the story about how you're different from everyone, how you're never getting it right, you're never on time, noticing that and really building that ability to observe and then self-regulate. So self-awareness and then self-regulate.
Yeah. They're big ones.
Yeah. And then I would even thread my own little thing through that, because you said it earlier, which is when we find ourselves spiraling, is to offer ourselves some self-kindness, right? Some self-compassion.
Yeah, that's going back to our strengths. No, I'm really good at this.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so good. I love that. What a great way to end this. Well, thank you, Kassy. I appreciate you. I've learned a lot today, and I feel like I'm going to walk away and go be a better advocate, I think, to my child. I'm trying to learn, and, conversations like this are so helpful. I do actually have one last question for you, which is that I find myself not wanting to say he has ADHD. I find myself wanting to say he's experiencing ADHD. And I think it's just my coaching part of not wanting to wrap identity around things. But I'm curious, as a coach and as a person who experiences ADHD, how do you name this for yourself? Do you say I have ADHD? Do you say tell me what's the most empowering language that can be used around this?
Because there was so much shame for so long and so much gaslighting that came with it. Yeah, I absolutely say I have ADHD.
Yeah.
That was my ADHD just now. And then even naming some of my time blindness, my forgetfulness, that's my ADHD right now.
Yeah.
It's not me, but that is my ADHD.
I love that. And I want to say, I notice that you do that. I notice in our conversations that we've had that you will do that. You do name it. You'll say like, no, what, I just lost that. And I appreciate it because it doesn't leave me guessing right on this end. I'm like, oh, great. Here it is. Here's the information again, which is so excellent. I love that. So yeah. So for you, you're saying like, claim it, empower yourself with it. This is nothing to be ashamed of. This is, yeah. This is a beautiful part of who we are. I love that.
My ADHD has made me into a very wonderful person.
Yes, I do agree with that, Kassy.
My strength.
Awesome. Well, thank you very, very, very much. And we look forward to having you on the 16th. It's 9:30 to 11 Pacific Standard Time in the morning, AM. So again, we'll put all those links in the description, and the cost is only $35. Just for everyone to know that. We also have some promo codes, and we do like to share. Empower's roots are in workforce development, and in social services. So if you are a provider and you're listening to this and you have clients you think would benefit from this or folks you're serving, we have a free promo code to share with you. So reach out and we'll make sure you have that so folks can attend without any financial burden whatsoever. All right.
Do you mind if I drop just a little resource real quick?
Please, yes.
If you're needing or if you're wanting a coach around something other than what I can support, like families and children, you could go to the ADHD Coaches organization, and they have a whole listserv that you could find ADHD coaches throughout the whole country.
Oh, I love that. Okay, and we'll put that in the show notes as well. Excellent. Great. All right, Kassy, thank you so much.
Thank you. This was fun.
Thanks for tuning in to Rewired. Neuroscience meets real life change. I'm Tiffany, and I'm so grateful that you were here today. If you enjoyed this conversation, I'd be so grateful if you could take a moment and leave a 5-star review. Your feedback helps more people discover this brand new podcast and gain the tools, insights, and inspirations they need to create lasting change.
Every family has challenges, and every parent deserves support. At Empower Coaching and Training, youth and parenting coach Jasmine Chandler helps parents and young people find clarity, connection, and practical tools that make a difference. Visit yesempower.com to connect with Jasmine and explore our team of incredible coaches today.